The DEI committee stands for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. Its purpose is to make sure that our members and those in the community are treated respectfully, no matter what their color, race, or creed may be. There are only 2 or 3 clubs in the state that have such a committee, and I'm glad to hear that others are interested to find out more about the benefits of having such a committee in Rotary. When I took over as president, the Floyd incident was very fresh. I thought that was an opportunity for the committee to really shine and provide our members with programs throughout the year and other opportunities to learn more about others and improve our relationships.
Having chaired the DEI committee since, I want to say it was probably 2013 going into the 2014 Rotary year, to me, it was very apparent that in Muskegon, we have a very segregated county, quite frankly. And having been one of those, I would say, coming up, one of those exceptions, I went to Mona Shores. I was like one of the only Black people in my graduating class, but I had always had that opportunity to be around people that looked different to me. So I've always had the comfortability level, if you will, to move in different circles because of the way that I was brought up. But what I noticed is that not everybody is like that, right? Most people want to stay in their silos where they feel comfortable. They want to stay in their specific communities where they know their neighbors and maybe the person that's at the mom and pop grocery store or what have you. And they don't really go outside of that. And then from that, we get into people then maybe projecting onto others what they may feel about certain communities because they don't understand it. They've never ever been there themselves. Maybe they just play into what they may see on MLive or in comments on some type of media, and they've never had an experience of their own in order to make their own, opinion about a specific community. And so for me, it really takes us to kind of come outside of ourselves. And one of the hardest things to do is for people to kind of change. Most people like to stay the way that they have been, and they feel uncomfortable if they have to, do anything different. But we wanted to challenge people to do things different in Rotary. And so from that perspective, as Rotarians, we felt we are in a prime position as leaders in this community to really affect change here. Let's get people into a community that maybe doesn't have the best reputation from the media standpoint and show people what this community really is, because we don't want people to feed into that. And so that from that idea came about the community mixer that we did with the city of Muskegon Heights. And one of the great things about it is they had just renovated Mona Lake Park. And so we thought, let's celebrate this as a community. We don't want this just to be for people that live in Muskegon Heights. We've got this beautiful, park on the lake. We've got facilities for baseball. We've got basketball courts, picnic areas, playgrounds. Let's celebrate this and make this a community event. And from that, people started to look at things a little bit differently. I mean, we started off really small, less than probably 200 people at the very first mixer, all the way up to over 750 or over 800 at the last one that we had that was over in Rohan Park, which was in downtown Muskegon Heights City Center. And what happens from that, relationships are developed. And then you start to break down those barriers, because as I get to know people in these communities, I no longer have to look at what other people tell me about it. I can say myself, hey, I've been in this community. I've eaten at this restaurant, or I got to know this person. And it really starts to break down those barriers and build the bridges that we as Rotarians need to build.
Well, it stands for enhancing police and community trust. It's been recognized some time ago that there was a trust factor or an issue between the community and the police. And this public defender noticed that one way to build trust is to get people together in the room or, together and then talk about these issues.
NPAC brings out the idea of community engagement, talking with our community leaders prior to an incident happening. And that we see that happening with our Social Justice Commission, now, and other programs, even, within the community itself.
When I came here, we had a subcommittee in Rotary. It was diversity inclusion. When you run these programs, the funding has to come from somewhere to actually put an impact program together. Rotary was more than happy to participate, fund it, and then our members bought right into it. And Rotary was that fostering piece or point to make sure it got into our community.
I really believe that the things that we saw happen here in Muskegon County this past year were a direct result with our prior engagement with our community, our involvement, the communication that we have, the direct communication. These are people that are members of our community. They live here, they work here. On that day, they were out exercising their First Amendment right, and I think every law enforcement agency, supports persons' right to do that. I just wanted our community to understand, for those people that were out there. I mean, this was an event that was being held in the city of Muskegon, but the fact of the matter is, it was at the front steps of the county building where the sheriff's office is located. And I felt a responsibility to at least meet with the individuals that were out there, let them know that as a law enforcement agency, as all 11 law enforcement agencies that work in Muskegon County, that we're there to help support them. We hear them. All in all, it was a very positive day. It really was.
I think we have a very, very bright future because our community, before I got here, was interested in social justice. And the sheriff just mentioned it when we had our protest back in the summer. I felt pretty comfortable that we had been working so hard with our community. There was a different understanding here. And I think it was proven. The sheriff stood right with them. As the day went on, I was with them. And we got to listen to them and talk to them again. It wasn't the first time. We weren't doing something for the first time. And so I see our future continually building on what we have. We're a diverse community. We're a strong community. I see a bright future because we have relations, we talk, we meet regularly. We do not wait for an event or something to happen to then try to come together and then talk about it. As the sheriff pointed out, it's not the city of Muskegon. It is the greater area, the county. We work together as a team. And because of it, I think the past is going to predict our future.
From the program committee standpoint, we try to make sure that we bring in good speakers on a wide variety of topics that cross from business to nonprofit to governmental to human interest, local speakers, but also sometimes regional draws. We have some law enforcement professionals within our club, and so they have spoken to the challenges that they face in working with community members. Quite often, the law enforcement professionals are white, and much of the community that they are policing is people of color. And so the tensions with that, especially when you take into account the issues and events that have been happening across the country. So that's one type of program that we've brought in. We've also tried to make sure that our diversity and equity focus is not limited to just ethnicity and race, but also to things like religion and gender and orientation, things like that. So we recently have had a couple of programs on interfaith discussions with leaders representing multiple faiths. As a program committee, we also were challenged by some of the membership. Historically, like many groups, we've had a program that observed the Christmas holiday with a Christmas program, and there are people in our club who don't celebrate Christmas. That's not part of their faith and part of their culture. And so we were challenged to rethink that, which was appropriate and good. Some of the work that I have done on our DEI committee is more focused on the programs, as we've spoken to. But another thing that often happens in DEI work, which I've experienced in my work life and in my church life, as I've been a part of that too, is to actually turn that lens inward and say, okay, what are our policies within this club, and what are our practices that might not be supportive of an inclusive community here? How can we seek to ensure that the membership of this club actually represents more of our community and reflects the makeup of our community? How can we make sure that the Jewish members in the community and the people who perhaps are not Christian or don't believe in God or don't have the same language around that, people from native cultures, which are represented here, how can we make sure that our invocations are inclusive and not by default representative of one branch of religion? And so sometimes taking a look at your internal practices and policies and procedures can bring to light additional areas of focus. And then sometimes what we have found is that, oh, well, maybe we should have a program that speaks to that particular issue. So that can kind of drive it to help educate club members on different ways of approaching issues. It's not always an easy road, but it's a very worthwhile one. And this journey toward equity and inclusion and belonging and making a space where everyone feels comfortable. Sometimes it's hard to set our own personal perspectives aside, but when that happens and a space is created where everybody feels that they have equal participation and belonging and representation in a space and in a community, beautiful things can happen.
The challenge for the committee was really how to initiate conversation with the members, how to stimulate conversation. And, we were blessed to have Dr. Joy DeGrew come to our community, and she spoke to a packed house at the Fronthal Theater, and people just really enjoyed her presentation and learned so much that night. And we really felt like there was momentum there. So we asked for a little grant from the Community Foundation, which we got, and then we ordered 60 of the books, the post-traumatic slave syndrome books, and felt that was a good starting place because people were already familiar with Dr. Joy. And then we decided to do groups of 10 to 12, keeping it small. The groups were facilitated by both a person of color and a white person so that there was perspective on both sides. And actually, Kelly and I and Aslan Scott and Doug Wood did most of the facilitation for the groups. And we've reached about probably a third of the club at this point. And I think anybody who participated in the groups really felt like it was very important. They learned a lot and they wanted to keep going.
I'm a big advocate for diversity, equity, and inclusion. And now that inclusion term is changing to belonging. And it's not inclusion in the respect of allowing someone into your circle who originally belonged. Now the term, instead of inclusion, is belonging. It's that person should have been there, belongs there anyway. And I think this committee is the opportunity for Rotary to really show people that we're not including you. You belong here. And we love your values. We want to know who you are. We want to know your culture. We want to share cultures. And we want to work together for the betterment of the Muskegon communities. That's why I'm on it. And plus, I'm a librarian. I love books. I love collecting books. I love reading. And it's an opportunity for me to actually display and show several of my passions at the same time.
So as a group, we're really trying to think of things that can really stimulate people to look deeper at themselves, look deeper at history, things we were never taught in the history books about slavery and Reconstruction and Jim Crow and all of those things that sort of passed us by without us even realizing what they meant.
Once we go through these books, the books are in the library, in a bag of books that people can check out. So if you happen to miss our wonderful group where we talk and discuss this, at any point in time, you can come to one of the library branches for the Muskegon Area District Library and check out the bag of books. There'll be about 10 books in the bag, some other related material so that you can start your own group with your own network, or even some other Rotarians who happen to miss the great sessions that we put on.
I'm Jim Schultz, and I'm a member of the Rotary Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. And we've planned and carried out a Rotary Muskegon Heights Mixer in each year from 2016 through 2019. And a mixer is just that. It's an opportunity to mix. People talk and eat great foods. Local restaurants provide a variety of of food. One option has been a catfish meal provided by a man who's been a City of Muskegon Heights councilman. We've offered music in the past, but people seem content to talk and mix. Not-for-profit organizations have tables set up to provide information on available services. Companies have been invited to present information and recruit. The event is self-funding from contributions from local businesses and community organizations. The 2019 budget was $3,500. The venue in 2019 was Roland Park in downtown Muskegon Heights, and 982 people attended, up from about 600 in prior years. Rotary has enjoyed the full cooperation and participation of the mayor and city manager of Muskegon Heights, and we're anxious to continue this event. Rotary has given people the opportunity to mix, and to do so with good food and in a place that is comfortable for everyone to attend and easily accessible, even for people who just walk in. I think that this event is one of the greatest things that Rotary does. And I think that because it involves every community in Muskegon. All the cities in the area are invited to come in. And we can talk to one another. And it's very good for me to see this event happening.
As a Rotary Club, we decided that the DE&I committee could be a good way for us to look at our community and learn about all the different ethnic backgrounds and values and cultures that we have in Muskegon, which I have found to be far more diverse than I thought it was. DE&I picked up the brand of Love Lives Here. There was another message going through the community that hate has no place here, but we wanted a message that was more positive. And as Rotarians, we believe in things like the goodwill of everyone and the benefit of all. And we wanted an inclusive message that included a kind of an agenda of love, that we're moving our community forward in love. At our first rally, we developed a sign. It's a Love Lives Here logo, and it has the rotary wheel right in the middle of the sign with the O for the love. And it's gave us a chance to put forth the message and the Rotary brand in a way that we can put it all over the community. So we have a number of signs that were created and distributed at their first rallies. We've developed a pin that we give to some folks to wear. All our committee members have them, and we have given those to different people in the community that have demonstrated the Love Lives Here in their own businesses or the way they do things. The latest thing we've done is a mask. It's probably appropriate for this time of year. It's just a way to put out that message that Rotary is a part of the community. Even if you're not a Rotarian, you can experience what Rotary is about. Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Those things are important to Rotarians as part of the pledge that they take to their community. And I believe Love Lives Here is a great way to live that out. I think what's happening in our community is that people are looking at different cultures, and the Love Lives Here brand is a way to reach out to others. And I think there's a possibility that it will have some impact the more we repeat the message of love, and love lives here in Muskegon County.